Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Freeman Files here on the J-Free 906 podcast channel. Seth and Tom, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. Happy Thursday. Or Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, yes.
I'm on paternity leave, so dates mean nothing to me. Earlier today, someone asked, what's the date? And I was like, I don't know.
Kind of like being retired, huh, Tom?
Yeah, tried being retired.
Oh, okay.
What day is it? Someone says to me, what day is it? I say, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
You say every night is Friday night and every day is Saturday or something like that?
Yeah, okay.
Welcome, folks. Thanks for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it very much. We are going to be talking about The Curse of Oak Island, Season 12, Episode number 24, Into the Void. I've been waiting to say that for a long time. Into the Void. One episode to go. Can you guys believe it?
Hard to believe.
It is. It's really hard to believe.
I feel like they've got a lot to do in this last episode.
They do have a lot to do in one episode. And I just had a feeling they were going to save this last Caisson to the very end of the show. And then we get to see what happens with it. So,
and that's how find out. That's how good TV is made.
I know, right? Yeah. The cliffhangers and all that good stuff. We're going to find out if I was right or was I wrong. Was my hope correct that they found something really cool? Or was I completely wrong and it's a different reason why they left the Caisson on the ground all winter? So we shall find out. Let's see. What have I got for you here tonight? Besides that, I wanted to show this real quick too. I know this has nothing to do with Oak Island, but I wanted to show this picture here really quick. This happened just a little bit ago. We were looking out in the backyard and lo and behold, a fawn was born. If you can see that right there. A little fawn was born in the backyard. Yep. And so, mama and the baby made their way over and they're hiding in the trees right now. But yeah, can you believe that? In the city. That's in the city. Yeah. A fawn was born today. All right. Tonight or whatever. So that was kind of neat. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. You look in your backyard and you see that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. She was, licking it all off and everything. Go ahead, Tom.
So much for your flower beds.
True.
Yeah, I know. Christina does fight with what type of flowers to have around here.
I have a friend who calls them giant rats with antlers because he battles them in his garden.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't even call the plants deer proof anymore. They just call them deer resistant.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and not all of them are. Oh, look at that. Next week's episode, the finale for episode number 25, Uplifting Discoveries.
Well, that is a promising title.
Following a drilling down called The Mystery Deepens. Can't wait for that. Also, folks, I want to let you know also this real quick before we get started here. Huge news. I have huge news for you all, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the show tonight to find out what that huge news is. But it's huge.
Stay tuned.
Well, stay tuned, but just to the end of the show tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then I'll tell you what it is. But it's huge. Let me tell you.
So it's not going to be a cliffhanger then, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, no, not a cliffhanger. Yeah, we'll get to it as we go along tonight, but it's huge news. That's what we call a teaser.
A teaser.
But it is, suspense by Jeff. Thank you very much. But it is, huge news. This is really good. You guys are going to love it, but I'm going to make you wait until the end to talk about it. And we do have a couple of giveaways tonight. Let's see if I got a picture of that too real quick. I'll show everyone. And it is these two items right here. It's a sweatshirt, Oak Island, established in 1759. All right. And also a couple of coasters and a keychain that could also be used as a bracelet, I guess. Those are all, let's see, the sweatshirt from Leanne Selesky and the coasters are Kat. Thank you, Kat and Leanne. And the keychain, Anne Marie from Germany. So good stuff. Yeah. I think she sent that all the way from Germany. That's pretty cool. So we'll be doing that in a little bit as well. So let's get started, shall we? So last night's episode, I was kind of, wondering just how this was all. Thanks, Kat. How this all was going to go down in these last couple of episodes, and we were talking about this final Caisson. And again, I was completely wrong on how many they put in the ground. That kind of surprised me.
We always are.
Yeah, it's amazing how they get these in the ground when we got so many people taking pictures, and yet it just happened.
They managed to sneak them in there somehow.
They did. They managed to sneak them in there somehow. So we start off in the money pit, and we're going to stick around in the money pit for a little bit here as we go along. As you well know, it is the one thing, or TOT-1 is the new Caisson. Let's see. They left the can in the ground to continue the forced air into the channel. Does it connect to the garden shaft? Well, I don't know. We'll find out, Wayne. Next week, we're going to find out the answer to that. If that's the truth or not, we'll find out. This area, this is one of the first time. Well, I guess they've mentioned it a couple of times that this big area here with the big circle is this area of the highest concentration of gold and silver. Even though they haven't really, Ian hasn't come out and stated this. I haven't heard him state it on the show recently, but he has, I guess. So this TB1, you see where TB1 is, and the RP 1, 2, and 3. And I don't think that any of these, I thought there for a little while that maybe all these caissons were a bust, except for maybe, this last one, but they weren't. And we kind of talked about this before, that, the RP 1, 2, and 3, they definitely found out where shaft 6 was. And I thought that was good. Maybe RP3, but I think even RP3, they found evidence of that collapse, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, RP3 was just a directional thing. I had personally had no hopes of finding anything of treasuristic value in RP3. If it's gold or silver, it's still sitting up towards the money pit, or as we know now, even deeper.
The pipe stem was good. That came from RP1.
Yes, I believe it was RP1.
Yeah. So that's a great find. True Believer was frustrating because if not for the collapse, it felt like, hey, they're on target for something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I wouldn't have called it a bust but I don't know. I can't remember what they found from True Believer, if anything, other than the wood that they were finding.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think you're right. Seth. I think they were on track to hit something good there with TB1, but
the fact that it collapsed told them they were over some sort of void.
Yes.
Yeah. And was that the one where Marty said something had to take all that material?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that was what convinced him that there was a possibility of this channel or cavern even existing. So it's all, like you said, every single one we've gained a lot from. If we with our 2020 hindsight look back, but it's easy to feel in the moment like, oh, what a bust.
Right, exactly. So I think that the Caisson program this year has been very, very good. The only real disappointment again for me was AC1 looking into Aladdin's cave and coming up with black camera.
That was terrible. That was
really
terrible outcome.
That hurt because I was so looking forward to Aladdin's cave. I wanted to see in there yet again.
I don't understand why the sonar didn't work just because of anyways, man.
I guess the density of the dirt.
Too much silt in the water.
Yeah.
We can't suck all that stuff out.
Well, or let it settle. I would have been.
I'd have found a way to get plastic pipe down there beside that Caisson, and when they pulled it out and just left it.
Yeah. Yep.
Or
there's a good idea.
Put the plastic pipe in as you're backfilling or something.
Well, hopefully they did. Knock on wood, they find something next year in there.
Yeah, that would be great if they did because.
Or just go to Canadian Tire and buy a cheap $20 camera and just let it hang there. Fill a hole in.
That's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Yeah. So we'll see. But man, I tell you, that AC1 was the one that kind of really got me. But the rest of them, I think, were very good, planned out placements for Caisson.
We learned a lot from that pattern. That pattern.
Yes, so now we're over with the new one, TOT-1, and it's looking pretty good. Alex goes over and talks to Adam and John to kind of get an assessment of where they are. And this TOT-1 is 10 feet south of TB1, which is where the collapse was. The team felt that the vault was more than, that they had a vault there. They put more, and this is what Seth just alluded to, more than 100 cubic yards of material that fell into the solution channel. They're now calling it the solution channel that it fell into.
That's 5 dump truck loads.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So if there's anything laying down there, this is the part that worries me. If you dump 5 truckloads of gravel and rock and gypsum and everything else down there, and there's treasure sitting on the bottom, are you ever going to get at it?
That's exactly where I was going next. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, okay.
No, seriously, thank you for that, because this is what they draw up when they show it going down there in the Caisson entering into the solution channel, and you see what they're hoping is on the bottom. And if they put 5 truckloads of backfill in there, did they just cover all this stuff up?
That airlift better be some kind of powerful. I mean, basically, they're going to have to dredge all that off, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. That's absolutely correct. So we're going to find out. And he talks about, you heard Marty say how big. He didn't give us a size estimation, but he said it's big. This solution channel is huge. So he's expecting,
it has to be. He just put 5 tandem truckloads of gravel down there. So,
right. Which may be the reason why they're leaving TOT-1 down there.
Yeah, it's probably parked next to a truckload of silver.
Right. Yeah. Yes, Gerhardt truckload of silver, correct. So you see this Caisson here. I grabbed this picture because it shows 164 feet as they're working their way down, getting deeper and deeper. They did pull out some wood, and at first I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they got wood. There's definitely something down there. Then they explained to us that it's wood still from the Chappell Shaft. They actually went down right alongside of the Chappell Shaft with that TB. I'm going to back up and show that again right here.
And you can tell that from the shots that we got last night of them examining the wood and pounding out the dowels. One end of the piece of timber is finished, it's cut, and the other end is chewed off. That's where the Caisson is ground through it.
Right.
So they are getting parts.
Right. I'm sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No, they are getting parts with it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's how they went down right there. They actually went down and chewed the side of it all the way down.
Yep. And that's why the timbers are coming up the way they are.
Right. And that's what I was
finished on one end, chewed on the other.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about, because I'm like, wait a minute, man. You're talking about wood, and I was all excited for a minute, and then I realized, oh, they haven't even got to the bottom yet. And that's exactly what they said. We haven't even reached the bottom yet. They still had another 20. When Marty came over, Terry told them they still have another 25 or 30 feet to go before they hit the bottom of the Chappell Shaft. So there you go. Look at this pile. This is a huge pile of debris that they have pulled up out of that. Now I'm making an assumption here that this is all from the one Caisson. I think it is.
I think it is.
Because they go through it and they clean it all off and they start another one. Yeah, look at the boulders. That's crazy. And pipe. This is PVC pipe that they pull up out of other holes or boreholes that are put in. And this big beam right here.
If you look at those timbers there, you see how the ends of them are chewed off.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of them are.
And that's from the Caisson, just ripping through it.
Yep. Absolutely. They do have a couple of pieces of interest. This is where Terry is showing Marty about some of these pieces that they're finding that are not Chappell Shaft-esque. They're more like original depositor type timbers. They're round. They're not cut into beams. Dowel pins. This one here, they were talking about it, and I noticed that how black it is, and it seems like that older wood that they find down there is often heavy and very dark colored. Is that just because it's soaked through and through, or
probably,
could very well be
probably. But I noticed that some of it seemed a lot heavier, which tells me that not only is it waterlogged, but it's probably like a hardwood as opposed to softwood. Like most of your timbers that you would use now or back then when they built these massive shafts would have been softwood, because softwood is the easiest thing to find and cut and mill and haul around. Hardwood would not be. Hardwood's much harder to work with, harder to cut, heavier to haul.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So another look at some of the beams here, and you have to kind of find an estimate of whether or not these things were how they're cut. And they did talk about some of them being cut, look like they were cut with an adze. And well, I got a picture of that if in case anybody's not sure what an adze is. We got a couple pictures of that. But you look, these beams are now these square ones are more like what you would see for the Chappell Shaft, in my opinion, anyway. And these little bags, they got several of them marked.
So they're flipping them over on us now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was upside down and backwards, so I actually did the flip and reversed it over so I could read it.
Yeah. So 78 feet down, and so that would be Chappell Shaft for sure at that level. No problem there at all. And so that's definitely Chappell Shaft, and getting that down there. But you see that there's no date. The one thing, that one says September. Yeah.
That one there says 83 feet. I think September something 24. Right? So 20, yeah.
Yeah. Why are they always trying to thwart us that way, so we can't get those dates? I mean, come on. This is an adze. That's what an adze is. And that's a tool for shaping beams and boards and whatnot. Watching some, and I've actually been able to watch someone that knows how to use these very well, watch them using it, and it's amazing. I would, it wouldn't look like a beam when I got done. I don't know what it would look like, but these guys, I mean, they're very, very good with these.
It's a skill to it. Yep.
There's a big skill to it for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. But you can tell the difference when you look at a beam, whether it's been cut with a saw of some sort or an adze. And that helps you with date identification. So, and I also wanted to say too, again, real quick, hey, stick around for the end of the show because we've got a really big announcement to make that I want to tell you about. So,
Huge.
it's huge. So make sure you stick around. Anyway, all right. As we continue, they found one also that had a piece of metal on it. Now they pulled this one out and he says, "Oh, there's metal on this thing." And I'm looking, I didn't see any metal. I guess it's this dark stuff over here on the side. This right here.
That's what I'm guessing too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, wasn't there? And I'm thinking before they got to the answer for this, and I'm thinking, well, didn't they have talk about Chappell or one of the searchers having metal at the bottom of their caisson?
It's metal boots, they called them. Yeah.
Yeah, at the bottom of their shaft, they should say, not caisson. And sure enough, it was Chappell did. And here's what it I don't know about these jacks right here. There may have been jacks on it, but this metal was put in around the edges. And you remember back a few years ago when they pulled up metal, remember that piece of metal was.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And I think that might have been from one of these as well. And what did they say about the use of the metal besides
it's to stop the backflow of water.
I guess it would.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept, but like I said, I don't know about the jacks, but definitely these.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that one time. They used the jacks, and the jacks you put the jacks underneath it with the metal boots, and they actually push it down into the dirt, I guess.
Okay.
Oh.
But
help seal it off.
Depends on which person you want to read about it. So
yeah, interesting.
When he initially was saying boot, here's a boot. Since they've pulled literal boots out of the ground, I was thinking,
exactly.
Is there a piece of boot stuck on some wood? But
I'm with this. That's what I started looking for. Where's the boot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting way to do that, though, is to put that in. Now, wasn't the Chappell Shaft the one that was actually not straight? And I think it actually deviated a little bit from top to bottom.
I'm not sure.
Like 10 feet or so, or something like that.
Oh, shoe. It was a shoe.
Yeah, a shoe. So metal from the bottom of the shaft. Yeah. So is this what this is? Yeah. Laying on the table there, you got this big piece. I guess that may be what was wrapped around that piece of wood right here. I don't know. Or maybe it's part that we can't see it on the other side.
Looks like it bent up pretty good when they ripped it off, or maybe the caisson ripped it.
Yeah. Yep. So laying there on the table. So that's.
Yeah.
But that would tell you at that point, would it not, that you are definitely at the bottom.
You're at the bottom
of that particular shaft.
And the measurement was right. The measurement was within a few feet. So that's convincing enough for me.
That's pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
to be able to confirm exactly. Yep, this right here, and
Very
now we
important.
can GPS it is the corner of the
Mm-hmm.
Chappell Shaft.
Mhm.
And here's the bottom of it, because we pulled this metal out at X depth. Cool.
Yeah, the graphic. Somebody mentioned, Coach mentioned that the graphic does look slanted. And I don't know if they did that on purpose because it did deviate from top to bottom. It didn't go straight for whatever reason. So, all right. So, yes, we got that metal there. And then there was something else on the table that they never really talked about. Not sure what that is. And this was pretty early on too, before they got done. Could it be something like this?
Could very well be.
Anhydrate? I think they call this anhydrate, right?
That's anhydrate right there, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. This is actually a core sample from the money pit that was given to me.
Ooh.
And yes, I love this thing. This is really cool. I cherish this. It sits on my shelf right back here behind me.
That's cool. Do you know, do you know which, do they tell you where in the money pit? Does it have a borehole number or anything?
No.
You just know that that's from the money pit. That's so cool.
Yeah. It was given to Carmen by Rick and told to give it to me. So there you go.
Ooh.
So that's
I tell a feller, that's cool.
my little keepsake. But yeah, so yeah, I love that thing. That's really really cool. But so is that what that is? And if it is, does that mean that they're at the bottom? We don't know, but because they never really talk about it. But interesting to find that. Now, interesting picture here. So they've got 11 caissons above the ground. And that must be like one of the first ones going in. And then this picture down here, they got one.
Yeah, we're not seeing them.
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't see the picture.
You mean this?
We'll just take your word for it.
How about that? Thank you.
I've already seen them, so I'm okay.
I'm looking over here going, hey, look at that. I can see it.
Yeah.
So 11 caissons above the ground. And then here they're down to just one left laying there waiting to go in.
Everything but the kitchen sink's going in that hole.
Wow.
This is really interesting to me. And then these are the air pumps or
those are the compressors they brought over from Irving remember we saw them on the causeway?
Yeah.
And they had the air pressure and stuff written right on the side of them.
That's right.
So they went from 4 to 2 for some reason. I just happened to notice it, but
yeah, they did as they were going through. Maybe they were thinking, okay, this is the last caisson. We're not going to need these. Let's start taking some of this equipment off the island.
Or could they have been hooking their equipment up and testing it?
Maybe. So we know that's coming next, don't we? At this point, they get Gary, and Gary goes over and he metal detects pretty much every hammer grab that comes out and drops something on the ground there. He goes over and he metal detects it and checks through the spoils to see if there's anything there. And then, of course, it goes into the dump truck that you see behind the excavator. And then it goes all the way down around the hill down to the wash plant where they go through and check it again because they don't want to miss anything, especially if it's not metal. So they're checking everything. Then they have to. I mean, this is something you just have to go through every little piece of the spoils. And they found this piece of metal. Now, when I first saw this come up, I said, okay, it just looked like a dirty chunk of whatever. Now, this is something you would miss.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a rock.
I would go and toss it.
Yep.
Yeah. Even off the wash table, you might miss it.
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, because it looks encrusted when they actually do clean it off. It's just got a concretion around it.
Yep. Very important why you have to go through all of these steps when you're looking through the spoils.
Without the metal detector, I doubt they would have ever found that.
Correct. I think you're correct. Yep. Like I said, even the wash plant, it would go by and you would think it was a rock, unless you saw the one side of it with the striations in it.
Yep.
And they harken back to this particular piece, this pickaxe. This was the pickaxe that they took over to Malta, and they were showing to the gentleman over there. Yes, it's a pickaxe that would be used in mining and cutting away at rock down in the short handle, like Tom had said before. That short handle would work well when you're in a confined space and you don't have a lot of room to be swinging a two-handed pickaxe, so it's going to work in that respect. And you saw the marks it leaves on the walls. which was also the type of marks that they said originally they saw on their way down the money pit shaft originally.
Yep.
So the one thing that I had thought about when I saw this was this handle. You see how long the handle is on here? It's I would say it's about a foot, maybe just a little bit more than a foot long.
Hmm.
When they were over in Malta and they were showing it, it was much shorter than that. It was only about 4 inches. So I wondered if they had that dated, if they had the wood from the handle dated.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure that I heard anything about that. If anybody in the chat knows, if you heard anything about that, let us know, because I don't know. It looked broken. Yeah, it did. Jan mentioned it. It looked broken. It did. Instead of just cutting it off. So I don't know. I'm just kind of curious why why it was broken, and then did they get it dated? So it'd be interesting to find out what the date came back on that thing. But again, that thing was found. That was found in that was one of the caissons that was named by
So RF1 or something? I can't remember.
RF1, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was RF1. It was found down there at a deep
145 feet or something.
Yeah. What would that be doing down there? That's definitely not from a searcher. No way. No way that's from a searcher.
Well, no, because it's used to make the hole, to carve the hole.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Once the hole's already there, I mean, you just need a shovel, right?
Yep. Exactly. Here's a cleaned off picture of that piece of metal that Gary found, and you can definitely see the striations in the wood, or in the metal. I mean, in the
See, that's why it would have gone right by you even on the wash plant table, right? That looks just like a piece of concretion on the rock. It looks just like a rock.
Yep. All right, here is one caisson. I grabbed this shot just simply because it's showing at 216.5 feet. So that is the last one of the last ones to go in before they get to what they're going to consider to be the end of this particular piece. Then they had a partial collapse happening, and that's when I just thought, "Oh, geez." And so did and
I thought too, we're done.
Yeah, and I thought, is this why they had to leave it? Because it was just, if they took it out, it would create even a bigger collapse. Like I would just went full doomsday for a second.
And so did Rick.
Yeah.
Rick's like, oh, geez.
But this is why they made that pad so big.
Mhm.
The crane pad, the metal crane pad, right?
Yep.
So that even though it collapsed around that caisson, it didn't take any support away from the crane.
Yep. Yeah. And it's a darn good thing they did.
Right.
Because it definitely saved the day on that, because they were able to keep going. They were upset for about 10 seconds. Yeah, Linda. That's
yeah. Once Buddy came over and said, "Hey, don't worry about it. It's all good."
Yeah. And they scrambled real quick. They got some stuff in there and they filled it back in with some more. They put the pads back on there. They put the oscillator back on top of those crane pads, and they're back in business in just a little while. So that was really cool. So I was really happy for that it didn't, at least not yet. It didn't. That's not why, that's at least not the answer yet, that why they had that problem or left the caisson in the ground all winter. So they also found, as they keep going, they got down pretty deep. Let's see, down to, let me look at my notes, about 183.5 feet. They go over and they find this chunk of this wood at 183. Now, this is below the Chappell Shaft.
Yeah, that's lower than anything you've hauled out before, right?
Yes, definitely. And they put it in a bucket of water and it sank. It did not float. So they talk about this, and they talk about this, putting this into and this was something that Dan Blankenship had told them. You put it into water, and if it sinks, it's old. If it floats, it's not that old. It's more a difference between depositor and searcher, probably time frame. So, and again, is it because it's been down there so long and it's been soaking so long?
It's waterlogged, right? So it's not going to float, it's going to sink. I mean, we see them all the time around here, waterlogged. We call them deadheads. And they'll does it have to be underground? 200 years to become waterlogged. I guess if the ground is not really that moist, maybe it takes that long to soak up the water. But to me, anything that's waterlogged tells me that it's close to a water source or has been in a water source
Right.
to become
Yep.
waterlogged. If it's dry gravel, dry soil, it's never going to get waterlogged. It'll sit there
Yep.
forever.
Yep. Look at all these beams. I noticed all these other beams that are laying there.
Those are some good looking beams.
Those are good looking beams.
Those
I mean,
are
I'd use
modern.
them. Yeah, I'd use them today.
Yeah.
They
Those are
still look
modern.
good. So definitely modern for sure. I'm going to answer Michael's question here real quick. Why do they think the treasure vault was destroyed when or if it fell? It may still be intact, hence no debris. That's a good point, Michael. We don't know that. It's all because of the collapse. When they heard the collapse years and years and years ago, they heard that collapse from shaft 6. And they assumed that everything went down there and it collapsed and all this stuff went into towards shaft 6 and the tunnel that went from shaft 6 over to the money pit.
It's a combination of the collapse plus the instrument readings.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would the instruments be able to pick, like Dr. Spooner, would he be able to get those readings if they were in like a concrete vault still? Or
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it'd be as strong. I mean, if it was flooded, if that vault was in water, I think over time it would probably start leaching out stuff, but maybe not the concentrations that they're getting. I don't know. What do you think?
If it's in this supposedly concrete lead line box or whatever it was made, it's supposed to be concrete, wood, and then steel or lead or something. If it remains sealed, then no, there's not going to be any leaching.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Right.
Like
that's a good question.
In order for it to leach, then the integrity of the box has to be compromised.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
It's got to get into the water somehow.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it's supposedly been drilled into, right? Because
yes, it was.
Out a bit of parchment and gold.
Gold, yep.
Some gold material on the drill bit. Yep.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Linda beat me to it. Thought they drilled into the box. Yeah, so they've
So
pierced
it's been
it before.
breached. Yeah, if it's down there, it's been breached. So
yeah,
that's interesting. But that's a very good question. And it's making an assumption that it got destroyed and all of it's all laying across there. But it may not be completely destroyed. It may just have a couple holes punched in it, and it might just be sitting down there as a box.
Just be one end. Could be one end cracked out of it or something, and it's not crushed.
Yep.
Yeah, April asked about liquid metal. It was mercury, right? To keep documents.
Mercury. Yeah.
Yep. And have they said anything about mercury being found in? I don't know if mercury
was mercury found like many years ago, but nothing recently.
And nothing in the water samples either, huh? I don't think
not that I know of.
Mercury in the water samples.
Not that I've seen.
Because if there was parchment or papers, like the Bacon, the documents from
that was supposedly Bacon's thing. He figured out how to preserve documents. If they were immersed in mercury, they wouldn't go bad.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, we'll get back to the money pit in just a minute. We're going to jump over to the lab. Our good
not going to make that announcement yet?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Big announcement coming up at the end of the show. Stick around to the end of the podcast.
I just thought I'd ask.
Thank you.
Never hurts to ask, right?
No, it never hurts to ask.
All you do is say no.
Big announcement coming up at the end of the show tonight. All right. So Carmen Legg, good friend of the show. I can't say enough good things about Carmen. What a great guy he is.
He is. Yeah.
Got to hang out with him quite a bit. Just a really good guy. But anyway, he shows up over there at the lab to take a look at this piece of metal that they found down there at below the levels of the Chappell vault. And this almost, in my opinion, almost has to be from depositor. And again, you go back to some of these questions about depositors. And, was there ever depositors? Well, why do they keep finding stuff down there that deep and that old? So it really kind of leads you to that question. So they get the thing they're looking at. And Carmen, when he looks at it, he says right off the bat, that it's broken off from another piece. It's he said, yeah, it looks like it's been busted off. It's end of a pickaxe or something like that. He points out that the grains were starting to fold. And we saw that in that one picture. You saw those striations in it, or like the grain of the metal, and you could see where they were starting to bend. And that's from repeatedly banging. And he was asked the question, banging on other steel or banging on rock? And that's when Carmen said, no, definitely rock.
Mm-hmm.
Repeatedly, and it started to fold up. Carmen says this piece was repeatedly hit with onto stone. And then he asked Emma about the analysis, and she shows him a cross section of the piece, which shows a crack in it. That was interesting because you'd never have seen that crack.
No.
Otherwise. Again, it looked like just a rock. Carmen thinks that it would have been a piece of very heavy and very old pickaxe. He tells them that the pickaxe were usually from then tells them that pickaxes like this were usually from the 1500s or maybe early 1600s. Keep that date in mind. She talks about the contents, which always just goes right over my head. Potassium, phosphorus, sulfur, magnesium. So she concurs with the 15 to early 1700s time frame as far as its date. So
yeah, the other thing that crack told me was that maybe there were other flaws in that piece of metal that made it break when somebody was using
which is why it broke in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, and like Laird had said too about like his takeaway was just being the amount of force and labor, that instrument was used for, impressed him. Like, what were they doing?
Yeah,
digging a money pit.
And we're gonna dive a little deeper into these dates and all this kind of stuff here as we go along, because part of the show that was on last night that we're going to get to here in a little bit was dating of stuff from the swamp. But think about that, because again, I go back to that same thing that I just said about people saying that there may never have been a deposit down there. There probably was never a deposit. So what in the heck are they finding these things that date this old, that deep in the money pit?
Mm-hmm. I feel like when they say anything pre-money pit or discovery of the money pit is a depositor, or I don't know if they say that, but I feel like that's kind of the assumption given. I would disagree with that. I feel like given the dates in the swamp, we know they've been on the island for a long time. So, maybe this pickaxe was a very, very early unknown searcher.
That's a possibility. Or a withdrawer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they treat it like a bank. It's not necessarily a one-time thing in terms of deposit or withdrawals. There's multiple deposits, multiple withdrawals. Why not? If they're there for this long, you would think that it did go under continuous use and probably had multiple sites. The money pit's probably hopefully the big site, but with that other little vault in the north end of the swamp, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch more of those. And the other 80-70% of the unexplored swamp.
Yeah, I know. Or there was some guy standing at the top of the hole and he broke his pickaxe and just went threw it down the hole.
Yeah. So it does, and that's a very good point, because I've thought about that before. Let's just throw the scenario out there for a moment. The Templars come in the 1200s. They make a deposit, 12 or 1300s. They make a deposit. They put that down there. And then somebody else comes along in the 1600s and withdraws that deposit. Would they have needed tools? You wouldn't think that they would have needed too many tools, but maybe they did. Maybe they needed to get in there and make a withdrawal. Don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of that coin is if they knew that there were booby traps, maybe they knew they had to come in from a different direction. And therefore needed tools. In other words, you can't go down the original shaft because it won't work.
That is a great observation, Tom. I'm glad you brought that up, because so what does that say? Does that say that the treasure's gone? There's nothing there to find? I don't know.
Maybe a treasure.
Boats to go to America. Well, let me answer that question real quick, or Tom, you can add the La
Did
Rochelle.
they have? Did they have? Oh yeah, the boats. The Templars have boats. Oh my goodness, yes, they had. Well, when they were broken up in 1307, they
Mhm.
fled to Portugal. The Portuguese people were fantastic sailors. They also had the Portuguese Templars. So did they have access to boats in 1300s? Absolutely.
Well, and then they asked specifically, did Templars have boats that go to America? I know they
Yeah.
did through the Vikings, but the Portuguese were in America off the coast of Nova Scotia real early, right, Tom?
The Portuguese and the Basque were here probably around. The earliest documented that we know of would be early 1500s.
Okay.
Right.
So
The early but now before that, the Vikings were here 900, 1100, 1200.
yeah, and that's a
Yeah.
connection Doug makes, right, with the
Doug makes
Vikings
Doug
and the
makes the
Templars.
Doug makes a Viking Templar connection. So for the Templars to have knowledge to be able to sail the ocean, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, so they had the fleets and they had connections with people who were there.
Yeah.
So we don't have proof, but there's.
Well, we
Right.
know the Vikings were here in 1100. So
Mhm.
after that, we know the Vikings were here in 1100 in Newfoundland. That's a given. We know that some of the resources that the Vikings had in Newfoundland came from either southern New Brunswick or in Maine.
What was that nut again?
Yeah, butternut.
Butternut.
Butternut. Yeah.
Butternut, and it was also vines that they found. So
Yeah.
they knew that the source for those items was here. So they had to get here somehow. The only way to get here is to sail past Nova Scotia.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
were they here? Yep, they were here.
They were. I mean, without finding the sign that says Vikings were here, like
Yeah.
Kilroy.
I think it's really the other side of the story is the natives story, right? They have those rocks and carvings
Yep.
with the Templar cross and stories of Templars. I feel like the Oak Island show did spend some time with that, and Jeff's had on what's her name? I'm so sorry.
Gretchen?
Not Gretchen, Alessandra.
Alessandra.
Y'all talked about this with her as well. I'm not Gretchen. I don't mean to leave her out, but yeah. So I feel like I think the Templars were there. I think I'm one who thinks they were there, but
I do too.
There's absolutely no question that even if they didn't show up as Templars, they showed up as French, they showed up as British, they showed up as Scottish, they showed up as people from the Mediterranean, right? Whether you put a Templar banner on them or not, doesn't matter. There were people from that same area that were here.
Correct.
Right. And the only people that really knew how to do it and had the technology to do it at the time were the Templars.
Yep. Yeah, there's that story goes, that there was ships in La Rochelle that suddenly disappeared.
13, I think, wasn't it? 13 ships?
12 or 13 ships disappeared from La Rochelle about the time that they went after the Templars in 1307. They simply disappeared. And they went after the Templars because they wanted their treasure, because they were becoming too powerful and they wanted their treasure, and they haven't recovered it. And supposedly they had religious artifacts. They haven't recovered those either. So why did the ships leave, and what did they have on them? Again, we don't know.
When did they leave with those artifacts?
Yeah, right.
Did they wait till 1307 to leave? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But again, we had Corian on just a little, a week ago. Corian actually talked about that, saying that when the Templars disbanded, or when they left, and many of them disappeared, did they go to Scotland? Did they go to Portugal? They may have went to both, because there were ties in both places. So
for me, it's another thing I look at is the swamp. Someone in the 1200s built stuff in the swamp. European, not Native Americans, but what Europeans would have been over there? Anyways, that's
Templars, Portuguese, Basque. The local Mi'kmaq people had no reason to build structures like that.
No,
they were basically seasonal, nomadic. They had no reason to build anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's jump over to Lot 5. Not much happened in Lot 5, but you got Alex and Peter come over to talk to Helen and them, and he brings up this the symbol they found carved on the wall over in Malta, and compared it to the button that was found. And I'm sorry, Alex, if you ever watch this podcast, but you probably don't. But they don't look anything alike, in my opinion. And they said, "Oh, it looked just like the symbol we saw on the wall." No, it doesn't. It doesn't look anything like it. I don't know.
That looks the one on the left looks closer to the 8-pointed star in the Bedford Basin than anything else.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, most definitely different. I don't know. Anyway, so they make that comparison, but I'm not there with them on it.
Both comparisons at the button on the right, because in a previous episode they compared it to the other button, the older Starburst button that connected. That was the one that initially connected them to the Knights of Malta, and then this one now looks like this carving. So I don't think it looks like either one, and I don't know if it's what they're seeing or if it's editing. And anyways, whatever. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
maybe had Made in Malta on the back of it or something.
Yeah, it was stamped right in there. But yeah, I don't I don't know where they keep coming up with that. Yeah.
So there's got to be more of a backstory to it than what we saw on the show, I would say.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Because I scratch my head every time they go, "Oh, it looks just like that." Go,
yeah,
what?
Has to be something else that they're referring to. So they did find a square nail, which is interesting because a square nail is an older nail. They did find that over there. That was interesting. They'll again get it analyzed. We'll probably never hear about it ever again as to what the kind of date range it had or anything like that. But interesting nonetheless.
Yep. It is going to the lab, they said.
So. Yep. Everything does now. And that's why Emma is so important in what she does over there. Oh my gosh, because she goes through these and she's got a database. We've talked about this a few times, this database that she's growing. That she can link stuff, metals and metallurgy. I mean, all over the place. It's really, really that is one of the, we talk about them bringing the science to the search. Mm-hmm. And man, they have gone above and beyond to bring the science to the search. And Emma,
absolutely.
Yep, MVP. Yeah, you're exactly right. I actually gave her that title of MVP. This was her first season when she was there, when she was on the podcast. We did have a podcast that had her and Laird on, and it was a great one. We had a lot of fun with them.
Rookie of the year. She's rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Then we go over and we jump to the north end of the swamp for just a couple of clips here. But because, they had this wall that they found that happened to kind of line up with the size and the shape of the wall that was supposedly found by Fred Nolan. But yet they dug and they found nothing. I don't know. I mean, I believe in the OKM.
Well, it's density, right? So, I mean, it's just something there that was density. Was it clay? Was it a combination of clay and rocks? Was it metal-filled rocks, like iron rocks, whatever you want to call them? Something denser, that's all.
Right. And there was, if you noticed, and this was pointed out by somebody last week, was noticing that the color, you can't see it very well in this particular picture. But the color of the soil down deep right along this edge here was very copper color, brownish.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah. So was that a density layer? Probably. Is that all that was there? If Tom or if Fred Nolan says he found something over there, they don't know exactly where it was that he found this. So they may have missed it. They may be looking in the wrong place. Because I believe that if Fred Nolan says he found something over there, then he did find something.
He mapped it, right? So, I mean, to me, that would be pretty significant.
Yep. But whatever reason, they didn't find anything. So that was kind of a bust. And
nothing to see here, folks. Move on.
Yep. Nothing to see. Move on.
How close is to where Steve said that it looked like a seawall?
Just down a little ways to I would say to the east. I'll back up here a second. The seawall was down here on the bottom of the picture, down this way. And it's off the picture. So it was to the east of that, that they found that they're looking for. I would have looked down there, and maybe they did. They might have dug, because he was moving along there with the excavator. He didn't dig in just one spot and say, okay, that's it. He did move down there a little ways. So yeah, Michael, it would have been on one of his maps. You're right. So they should have been, pretty precise. They should have known exactly where it was. But yet they didn't find it. So I don't know. I don't know why, but they didn't find it. So, all right, we are up to time for our giveaway. So let's bring up Linda, and we will. Oh, if she's ready. And we'll do our giveaway. And while we're waiting for Linda, I'll explain. We got this sweatshirt and these coasters and this keychain. And these are giveaways that we do every week because we had so many people donating things to us. To be eligible for one of these giveaways, you must be a member of our Facebook group page, which is the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond Skinwalker Ranch. There's a link for it down below in the description of the show. You become a member of our Facebook group page. It's free. Not a big deal. You can come in there and join into our group discussions we have about everything Oak Island and Skinwalker Ranch. Linda will put out the pictures like this one here of what the upcoming shows giveaways are. And all you have to do is comment on that post and say, yes, that's it. You comment to that post, say yes, and you get entered in for the spin that she will do here tonight. And I think that tonight you also have something relating to, or you want to say about next week, the finale?
I do. Everybody is out. Sorry, I'm just.
I know. You're
Stressed.
having one of those days.
It is one of those days. Next week, everybody's eligible to enter the giveaway again. So the 25 of you who have already won can put your name back in again. And there will be 3 things that are maybe a little bigger, a little nicer, a little more special. Come check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just come check it out.
Yep.
And there won't be any until next November.
Yeah. We're not doing giveaways for Skinwalker Ranch. So when we start talking about that show in just a few weeks from now, that's gonna be a great season. I can't wait for that to get started. Skinwalker Ranch. But anyway, we're talking Oak Island right now. And don't forget to hang out to the end of the show because we got a huge announcement tonight to talk about. So you want to stick around. So
The Oak Island Treasure Shop opens Friday.
Oh.
So if you're in the Mahone Bay area and you want to stop in there, they open at noon on Friday.
Or you can order online.
You can also order online.
There's one of their hats there. They're really nice hats.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Yep. Respect the legend.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, Linda, are you ready?
I'm ready, finally.
All
Sorry.
right. No, you're fine.
Okay, here we go.
All right, let's do the spin.
Oh, I got to turn up the sound. Sorry.
Shirley Brown is the winner of this. Shirley, are you here? You must be present at the podcast to win. So Shirley will have to let us know if she's here. Yeah, was the Oak Island Treasure Shop, was it closed over the winter? I didn't know.
As far as I know, it was.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. They in the late fall they shut it down to just like 2 days a week. And then finally they just closed it up for the colder part of the winter.
Yeah. All right. Shirley Brown. Was that the name? I forgot.
She enters every week, but I've never seen her comment, which doesn't mean she's not here. It
right.
means,
Right. Not everybody comments.
Yeah,
right?
not everybody does.
Yep. So let us know if you are here, or we're gonna have to spin again.
Bueller.
Till we get a Bueller. Till we get a winner.
My kids do that all the time. Bueller. Yeah.
We'll give her a few more seconds here. I wanted to say thank you so much for Jan. She has done these synopses for us every single episode of the Curse of Oak Island. Going, here, all right, good deal. There she is.
All right, congrats, Shirley.
And
hey, Shirley, send me your address in a private message, and I'll get this out to you. Probably not before Friday, though.
Yeah, don't do it here. Do it in a private message. But get that over to Linda, and she will take care of you. Thank you so much, Linda. Appreciate you.
Yep.
All right. Again, as I was saying about the synopsis here, Jan does these for us, and she's done them from every single episode. And it's absolutely wonderful that she does these because it helps out so much. And they're all posted on the Facebook group page, so you can get a detail of what happened on every episode. Really, really appreciate that so much. So thank you, Jan. All right. As we move along, we jump over to the Interpretive Center, which they called the museum the last couple of episodes, and then they called it the Interpretive Center. And then later on, Robert Clotworthy, reading the narration, called it the museum again.
They can't decide what it is.
But it sure looks like it's set up to be a museum, if you ask me.
Looks like a museum now.
With a table in the middle of it.
Mm.
So they can fit everybody in here. They're sandwiched right in there.
I always thought Interpretive Center was just fancy for museum, right?
It is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, they're crammed right in here. Everybody's on hand there, so they're getting ready to. And I thought this was a very cool presentation.
Yes.
And as always, this particular one is basically, at least this portion of it that we get to see, was given over to Steve Guptill so that he could talk about the interesting information that he had gathered from the swamp and all of his looking. Go ahead.
One day, it would be so cool to have this on a website and to be able to go through Steve's maps and look at all the dates and all the fine, and even have it overlay on like a Google image map, so you could just kind of explore and go, oh, look at all these findings and pull up a date and a picture of each one. I was kind of daydreaming about to be a fly on the wall during this presentation. And then I thought, well, maybe one day it will be accessible to us.
Yeah. You and Zane would love it. Yeah. So anyway, so they put these up and as always, I'm looking down on the bottom to see if I can find the date.
They got you. They're onto you. Blur it out. Jeff can't see.
They blur it. Everything else is crystal clear except the date and the time stamp on there. Why do they have to do that to us? We're looking. Oh, well, whatever. Not a big deal. All right. So here's the interesting part of Steve's presentation. He was talking about many of the things that they find or have found in the swamp, such as the stone pathway that runs all the way along here, dated around 1650 to 1700, based upon the wood samples that they find in those areas. I think this one here, let's see, they had not the pad or what they call the platform. That's this big piece here that goes back even farther.
That's the 1200s, right?
Yeah, exactly. The eye of the swamp, 1630 to 1680, based upon the wood samples. All these stakes, which I didn't get the date written down on there. I didn't get a screenshot with the dates on it, but those were also in the 1600s. And then they had the vault, which is this one here. And the vault, the low end was 1696, high end 1915.
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at these dates and hang on just a second. Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. I appreciate that every week. And
hey, Craig.
And Joanna Richardson, thank you. That is so awesome of you. I really do appreciate it. It helps out a lot. It really does. Helps to keep this thing going. I really do appreciate you. So thank you for that. So anyway, these dates, keep those in mind because they are very interesting. Here you got all these 1600 dates of these items here. And I think I got a shot of the paper that he was looking at. Thank you for Prometheus for at least.
Right. They knew we were going to look.
Yeah, of course I'm going to. And they didn't care on this particular one. They didn't blur it out. They actually gave us a picture of it. But look at the dates on here, folks. All right. So on this first section, you've got 300 to 800. Actually, it's, all the way down here to this section here. You've got, this is the center of the swamp dig. These are all piece of wood, rounded thin wood, ship's railing. And then you've got this section here from 250 to 892, the base of the swamp, which is down at the bottom to south end where the road is that goes across that they access to go to the money pit. So there you're still in that, 300 to 800 time frame. And then you've got this piece here, the paved area. Now this was not the piece that was found sandwiched in the rock, but wood that was found around the paved area, and that was 263 to 418. And then you've got the wood under cobbles. These are the ones that where Ian Spooner had taken out pieces of wood that were under the cobbles, smashed in between the rock, which would mean that that this piece of wood was present and smashed in there as they were building the paved area in the first place.
Yeah. I think that's the most compelling. 300 to 800. There is stuff under some cobbles. But it's really hard to imagine, right, that there's Europeans in Britain there. I don't know, but maybe. But I feel like that stuff kind of washed in, that ship's railing, I would guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. But once you get to the paved area and all that wood under the cobbles, and we're in the 12 to 1400 at the bottom of the page, man, like that is really hard to argue that is just washed in. How did it wash in under all that pave?
It wouldn't have. I don't think it would have. I don't think there's a way that could have happened. So now, and bear with me, folks. I've got a several part question for you all.
Ooh, oh boy.
Yeah. And so let me walk through this real quick with everybody. So if the wood found in the center and the base of the swamp date prior to 900 AD, wood found in the paved area from 12 to 1400 AD. Oh, let me move my little thing out of the way here. And if the paths, the eye, the wood stakes, and the stone road in the southeast corner of the swamp all date around the 1600s. Okay. So you got the prior to 900 or, 800 and back. And then you've got this section that is 12 to 14. Then you got this section here that's 1600s. Does that support the involvement of both the Knights Templar and the Knights of Malta or more? So, yes, many generations, but you have the early times of maybe the Knights Templar around the 1200s, 1400s, or remnant of them. And Tom will elaborate on this a little bit as when we were going through the show prep, we kind of got into that. And then you've got the 1600 date frame. So does that support both Templars and the Knights of Malta or maybe others? Tom, what do you think? You're muted, by the way. You're muted, Tom.
The Templars became the Knights of Malta. I mean, you go back to 600, 900, and we already started rattling down through some of these already. You've got the Vikings, who supposedly went to the Mediterranean. You've got the Basque and the Portuguese, who both excellent sailors, sailing knowledge. Portuguese Templars. We know that the Templars had to get out of Dodge by 1300 or early 1300. So who said that the rating wasn't on the wall in 1250?
Yeah.
Right. Yep. We're accumulating this stuff. We've got these relics. We're not going to keep them here because, well, number one, they don't plan on staying there. Right. They plan to get out of there and create their own new kingdom.
Right. Yep.
Right. So they're not planning to stick around. So, and they've already got the technical knowledge. So that moves you into the 1400s. Then you obviously got recorded voyages of the Portuguese and the Basque, 1500s. 1600s. I mean, the party's just getting started in the 1600s.
Yeah.
You've got people like Champlain, Bacon, British, French, Knights Malta. Like it's a collage of like, you name it.
Yep.
But the one thing they all have in common, like Duke d'Anville, Phipps, I mean, you name it. These guys are all in that 1600 range. They're all buzzing around doing something. And the one thing that they all have in common, if you go back through their lineage, is either a Mason or a Templar connection.
Yep.
Even the Scots, 1632.
Yep.
Right. If you follow Jim McQuiston's work, 1632.
Yep.
Right. They've all got Masonic or Templar connections.
Too many players involved in all of this, but yeah. So I think personally, the answer to my question is yes, it does support both and others as well. Right, Seth?
Absolutely. Well, sorry, I should have just said yes.
No, I wanted that explanation because you took that deeper, which is what I was hoping for.
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't hide all these references to Oak Island in major works of art and major works of architecture throughout Europe
And maps.
just because it was some insignificant place, right? Like they not only did they use the island, but they wanted to leave secret knowledge of its existence and how important it was behind. So even if it wasn't passed down mouth to mouth, oh, hey, I'm going to tell you my son, somebody could, once they get the knowledge, can retrace the steps so it wouldn't be lost. I mean, there's just so much into it that, and where, and it's like you said, you can't just stop with, oh, well, it was the Portuguese. Well, who came before them? And then the bottom of the rabbit hole is the Knights Templar.
Yep.
It starts with them.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
the Vikings and them. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. And we go back to that, you mentioned it earlier, the paved area with that piece of wood that was smashed between the rocks dating in the 1200s. Now there's a couple of players that could have been in there involved in that, the Portuguese or whatever, involved in that time frame. But
I'm thinking most likely Vikings in that era.
Yeah, it could be very
But
Yep.
the Vikings had the knowledge. You can check Doug Simmons' work, right? The Vikings
Mhm.
had the knowledge. We know they were in around southern Nova Scotia up into the Bay of Fundy in New Brunswick. We know they were there. So Oak Island is a logical place to stop.
Yep. And those stakes that were found and dated in the 1600s, they all were dated around the 1600s. Excuse me. Those could have been, were they marking up where the path goes, or were they for fish traps? Now, it's okay to put the fish traps into that, in my opinion, because of the fact that you need to feed a lot of people. And, you're going to go over to the mainland all the time and hunt deer and everything for all this, or you're going to use the fish traps as well.
The other thing, too, that you have to remember, too, is that when these early settlers came over, the Mi'kmaq showed them how to live.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would have showed them how to build these fish traps. They would have showed them how to build the smokers. They would have showed them how to build the racks. Right? Without the Mi'kmaq and the Wolastoqey here in New Brunswick, when people like Champlain and those guys were all coming and going, they wouldn't have survived. They weren't ready for what the Atlantic North American winter had to deal with them, because they weren't established, they weren't settled, they had no food sources.
Right.
So they would have had to have learned these techniques from the indigenous people as well.
Yep. Right. And the bones too. Yeah. Linda brought up the H8 bones that were from the 1600s as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I threw that all out there because it really does. It supports them all. But you also look at the fact that, those bones, and I go back to what I had said earlier in the show about a withdrawal. If the Knights Templar, Vikings, Knights Templar were the first ones to come here and create some of this stuff, was a deposit made back then, and then in the 1600s, the Knights of Malta came and did a withdrawal? We don't know the answer to any of that yet. We simply don't. But is it plausible? Yeah, I think it is. But hopefully we'll find out.
It's just as plausible that there's more than one location of valuable items.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Just because I told you Oak Island was a cool place to hide stuff doesn't mean I told you I put where my stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. To speak of the Knights of Malta, Greg Paul, why do we know the bone fragments in H8 date to the middle 1600? That speaks of the Knights of Malta. Well, we know that they were dated. They did do a DNA testing on them.
They were dated and as to location as well.
One was Middle Eastern, right?
Yeah, one was Middle Eastern, and the other one was European.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, again, that means that somebody was down there. Now, I don't know that they found too many really, really old things prior to the 1500s or whatever in the money pit. I don't know.
No, I don't think they have.
But elsewhere on the island, they have all over the place. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons why Rick is so adamant about multiple deposit places around the island. So, all right, let's continue on. So thank you, folks, for joining in. I saw a lot of people jumping in there with a yes. So I appreciate that very much.
When you consider like Nolan's Cross too, and like the other megalithic sites, like to me, it makes sense. Like what group is going to take the time to not only like deposit treasure, but make these like huge spiritual sites, or I don't know,
Right.
spiritual is the right word, but religious.
Well, yeah, that
shrine almost, I guess.
that, and we know from was it Dr. Gaspari about the stars and the alignment?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when these things would have, that was what, 11, 1200, whatever it was, 1300. I forget the date now, but early.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Jess. Hi, Jess Grollo, by the way. She's the one that makes these awesome tumblers for us. The engraving on them and all. Oh, there, look there. He's working on his. Just Jess Grollo with blue6laser.com. Thank you very much. Yeah. So again, you know, you can't get past all these dates, folks, and it really means a lot. So every time the people are complaining, geez, they found wood. Oh, they find wood. Oh, okay, big deal. That is a big deal. In many cases, it is a big deal because it tells a story. You can date stuff with that. So it is a big deal. All right. Now, I've grabbed this picture here because I thought this one was neat. Look at these rocks behind them. Notice anything funny about those two rocks right there?
Yeah.
I'm
assuming those are drill holes from the borer process, you know, when they
sonic
bore
drilling.
or the sonic drilling process. But you know, funny. This one's got a big hole in it. This one looks like the 6-inch bore. This one here looks much bigger than that. I don't know, but I'm
so in 500 years from now, when somebody finds those rocks,
what are they gonna think they are?
What are they gonna think?
Yeah.
When I find smaller rocks that look like that, I call them fairy rocks. They're protective, and if you look through them, apparently you can see stuff. I don't know.
Oh wow, interesting.
It's a good find.
Yeah, with the rounded, you know, you see how this is all beveled around the edge of the hole, and I would assume maybe that was the walk of the drill, the sonic drill, as it was, you know, trying to drill into the stone, and it was moving around and creating that. Yeah. But I mean, it almost looks like a stone that would be used for a counterweight for a
an anchor. It's an anchor.
Or an anchor.
Yep. Like you find anchor stones. You know, they're not uncommon to find. You find anchor stones with holes bored in them that were purposely used for ships' anchors.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? I thought that was very cool. All right. 185 feet. At 185 feet, that's where at the top of that caisson is. But we're down deep now. We're getting down there. And this is where they came to a point where they said they cannot advance the can. So they were making the assumption, of course, that they hit the edge of the bedrock, and they can't advance the can any further. You're muted, Tom.
Be gypsum or limestone or something like that. Probably.
You mean like this?
Very similar. Almost identical.
Almost identical to that. Yeah. So this is what they're in, and I was having some trouble with this. I was still beating my head a little bit, thinking about the fact that, you know, how do they know? How do they know that they're not just sitting on top of bedrock completely, and they do not have access to the void below? But Tom brought up a very interesting way to find out.
Strap carrier jack to the end of the pipe, throw it down the hole with a measuring tape.
With a measuring tape, might give them a bottle.
Yeah, I mean, you got to know just from how deep you actually put the air pipe and return pipe down.
Yeah, if they go past,
if they go past 100 and whatever it was, 83 feet, 83.5 feet, or 192 feet, they're at 192. So if you go down, to whatever depth you need to go to, it's going to tell you.
Yep. And these pipes are the illustration of how the airlift process works. They pump this air down into and this is one of the machines for it right here. They pump this air down into the hole in the one line, and they suck up in the big fat line. They suck up everything that's off the bottom. So it's called an airlift process. And they're basically vacuuming, like, you're cleaning your pool. They're vacuuming up the bottom.
Yeah, it's basically a jet pump using air.
Is this in any way similar to what they're using, like when they look for the Ayatollah on Beyond Oak Island episode, where they showed something that was like?
That's kind of.
Didn't they have some sort of?
It's a vacuum.
Yeah, vacuum go down, clear an area out.
They're using a water jet pump.
Yeah. Well, they clear the
you're
area.
talking about the prop thing, Seth.
No, I think he's talking about the hose that they use down there.
No, the hose. That's a straight water pump. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They have those downwash. They take those mail, they call them mailboxes. They put them over there, and it blows. And I've got an episode coming up on that in a little while too.
Okay.
With the fishers and I was actually on the Magruder, the boat.
That's
anyway,
cool.
got distracted
The,
there. But anyway,
big difference between two systems is one's pumping air, one's pumping water. They both cause, one pipe is smaller than the other pipe, and it causes the movement of the water or the air causes the other water to move rapidly through the other pipe. It's a jet pump system is what I call it.
Right. So there's your airlift pump and the pipes that they're going to be using with it. Get them down in that caisson. They got to go down 200 feet. So get them down there. And that's it for that. So next time, don't forget the announcement coming up. Got an announcement coming up here in just a few minutes. And before we get to that, let me do something real quick. But yeah, so we'll see this operation happening next week when they get to the whole process happening for next time. Let's see. Let's jump over here. All right. And here it is in operation. So now they got those pipes down in there. They're sucking up all that material off the bottom. They're blowing it into this big, it's a container.
It's a settling tank.
And a settling tank. Thank you. Yep. And everything, all the stuff that they suck up off the bottom, all the heavy stuff like gold coins, silver coins, and rocks is all going to settle to the bottom of this thing. And then the water that has nothing in it gets pumped out of
that's what the holes in the top of the baffles are for. So that the heavy stuff will fall. The baffle will stop the heavy stuff from flushing down to the end of the tank. And then as the water rises, almost like a septic system, the sediment goes to the bottom, clear water goes to the top, and then just travels down through and gets pumped out the far end.
Yep. Kind of cool.
Yep.
And then you've seen Laird over in lot 5, and he's fiddling around over here with his trowel, and he's digging around at something in there. And now there was a couple of different points at which him and or Gary was, and I'm not sure exactly, I was kind of missing the point, but there was something he found underneath there. We can't wait to see what that is. Yeah, maybe coins, it could be, but
kind of looked like a coin he was reaching for. That's a coin.
Yeah. Well, there's one there, and I don't think that's under the rock. I think
it's not.
A different spot. So I think we got maybe two different things we're looking for here. But this,
he said there's like a void. He said there's like a void behind those rocks or something.
Yeah,
a tunnel.
Yeah. Where's that going? Now, remember, if you remember back several episodes, and we haven't gotten to this point yet, they haven't shown us, but remember when he was up there on top and he was thumping on the surface and he said, sounds hollow under there.
Yes. Yes.
What was that all about? Could this be possibly part of that?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I do too. I really do. I think it very well could be. But then we also see, they never revealed it, April. You're right. They never did. So maybe this is part of that. And why they would have waited to the end of the season to show us that, I don't know. But
yeah, because with the amount of footage they have, right, you have to think that every little thing they show us is deliberate. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Dr. Spooner said he'd talk about that later after it was shown. Oh, okay.
So maybe that's it. And he said he would come back. So, I mean, all these guys are, and that's been the great part about this podcast and having the guys come on the show. Never had Rick or Marty Lagina, obviously, or any of the family. It would be fun to have them on someday. I'd love to talk to them on the podcast. It'd be great. But we've had many of the other guys on, Laird and Emma and all just Steve and Terry and all that. We've only got Terry on this year.
And he debuted his amazing music video. He's a great singer.
Take it to the bedrock.
Take it to the bedrock. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, we really enjoyed that. But it looks like they're going to find a coin. So happy to see that. We'll find out more about that. And medieval, baby. That's you heard Emma say something about medieval when they're all sitting around at the end of the episode, the season finale, at the end of the episode, they always have that portion where they're sitting around the table and they're kind of going through the year's finds, and they talk about the 400 and some odd boreholes that they did and the caissons that they put on and all the stuff that they found. But pretty crazy, is it not? So we got that coming up for sure.
Seeing everything out on the table in the war room used to be always was such a delight, at the end of every season. And it really is cool to get that, conclusion, wrap up. Here's everything we found. What a great, I wish they stretched it out and gave us like 2 hours. Digging deeper. That's what that's for, right?
Well, it is. And right after next week's episode, we do have a drilling down, and that what was that called again, Linda? I know you had mentioned it earlier.
Deeper something.
Yeah. Something deeper. So we got and the episode for next week had something to do with airlifting up stuff. So we're assuming that they find something, or I'm going to make that assumption. They do find something.
Yes.
Is this the reason why they left the Caisson in the ground? I hope so.
They find the one thing.
They find the one thing. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I mean, why else do y'all think, in the chat too, why else would they leave a Caisson in the ground? I would, for me, it's either because they find something that is concrete enough to go, we need to get back to this exact location next year, or a catastrophe happened, like a cave in, and they just can't get it out for some reason.
Right. I'm hoping it wasn't a catastrophe.
Yeah. Are there other potentialities for why you would leave something like that in the ground?
Somebody had brought one up one time on the podcast, and I don't remember exactly what that person had said, but it was a scenario that I had not thought of. But you talk about a collapse or something catastrophic happening, or they found something significant. But there's also that point where you have that Caisson in there. If you like all the other ones, when you take that case, it's stuck. Maybe it was stuck. A couple of people are going, maybe it got stuck. But when you take those Caissons out of the ground, you have to backfill the hole. Well, as we mentioned earlier on, when they took out the TB1 and they put 5 truckloads of backfill, not only to stop from the collapse, to prevent this, to help them with the collapse, but then they had to backfill. All that backfill went into the solution channel.
So they know they can't backfill this
if they do
they're
it
on the
again,
solution channel.
Yeah, they're in the
They
solution
just filled the
channel.
hole. Yeah.
They're going to fill up the solution channel and cover up anything you're trying to find.
My guess is something came out of that hole that says we got to leave this can down here.
Yep, I think so. I know. I'm crossing my fingers too. We'll find out. All right. So
because if you didn't, and to bring that equipment back, just to withdraw that from the hole, set up the pads again, would cost you, I don't know, $1 million. I don't know. It's not cheap.
No, it's not. And so they had to rent the Caisson. I don't know. Did you think that she gave him a good deal? Vanessa gave him a good deal on renting the Caisson for the whole winter?
I hope so.
Maybe so.
Yeah, you broke it, you bought it.
You broke it, you bought it. Yeah. So let's see. So yeah, we'll find out. All right, hang on, just give me a moment here, folks. I have got to go clean. Jeff, you got them. You're all right. So let me. I forgot. I got to do something here real quick. Sorry, folks. I'm expecting someone to join us here. I'll just give you a hint on that right now. And I messed up because the person I didn't send it the proper way. And
the missing link.
The missing link. That's why I was kind of stalling there for just a moment. But here we go. Let's see. There we go. And bear with me. I apologize, folks. There we go. Get that on there. All right.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. LMM. That is awesome. And I saw Jess did that as well. She sent a donation. Thank you so much. It really does help because like I said, doing this podcast, it does have a lot of costs involved. StreamYard alone is a lot. And we have to pay for that all the time. So I do appreciate it, folks. Thank you so much. And if you like the content of the show we do here tonight, Tom
and I are expensive too. We charge
consider giving us a thumbs up.
Free agency looms large.
Yeah, free agency looms large. So all right. So let me kind of preface this a little bit. The big announcement. yeah, a couple of years ago, somebody approached me and we kind of talked about, trying to work some stuff out, and it became a difficult to do that. We ran into one major roadblock, and then somebody came along and helped us with this major roadblock. And I'm going to let's see if we can't bring him up here. And there he is, Mr. Tony Sampson. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good, Jeff. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Got Seth and Tom Burns here with us tonight.
Hey,
And
Tony.
How you doing, guys?
bunch of people
Doing great.
sitting here waiting for me to get to this big announcement that I was going to make here tonight. And I was just saying that, we were running into some roadblocks, but then you came along into the picture and you gave us an absolutely wonderful way to make this all happen. And I haven't said what it is yet. Would you like to do the honors, sir?
No, I think you should, Jeff.
Okay.
Your show, buddy.
All right. So what the big announcement was for tonight, folks, is that and this has taken a lot of work, but finally we have come to the point where we are about to have Oak Island Con 2025 is happening. And again, we did a lot of work to try to put this all together, and thank you for Mr. Tony Sampson for helping us with this. It's going to be September 23rd and 24th of this year. And it's going to be at the Western Shore. That's at the Legion Hall. It's right across the street from the Oak Island Resort, where Tony does his things there, with the Salty Dog Sea Tours. And that's how this all came to be. Tony came up and said, "Hey, you know what? I think I can help you work this all out," because the big stumbling block we had was the ticket sales and everything for this. So Tony helped us out because he can use his website for Salty Dog Sea Tours. So thank you very much for that, Tony. We appreciate that.
Don't worry, Jeff.
This is going to be an exciting event. We have two places we can go and get details. The main place you're going to go to is Salty Dog Sea Tours, which is Tony's website. And you can go there and you can buy your tickets for this. Included in this will be a Salty Dog Sea Tour, of course, which is awesome. And it just a show of hands, if anybody in the chat been on a Salty Dog Sea Tour yet? Let's just see what there's about a 15-second delay. No, it won't be online, Douglas. Sorry about that. But no, it's only going to be at the Legion. We will be taking some video and all of that. We do have some people lined up for this already. We've got some presentations. You're going to get to see Laird Niven and Fiona Steele and the archaeology team there. Tony, of course, will be there. You've got, let's see, who else we've got coming? We've got, Mr. Oak Island himself, Danny Henniger, is going to be there. We're going to have Ken DeBoer, and you talk to us a little bit about Ken, if you would, Tony.
Yeah, Ken's our ROV expert. So he invented Little Buzz, the ROV. So that's the one that's been down borehole 10X. It's been down C1, H1. It's also done the off the backside of Lot 5. And when myself and Dr. Lee Spence were diving Lot 5 and also in the Oak Island Triangle there, Buzz was down there as well. So it's a marvelous ROV, and Ken will actually have the ROV at the Legion when he gives his presentation as well.
Yeah. So that's going to be great. Yeah, he's the one that also put the Caisson or the ROV, and I didn't say I was reading some of the chat. Sorry if you mentioned it already, but down into Aladdin's Cave. So he's going to get to describe all of that and more to there's more to the story, right, than what we saw. I didn't want to talk about that too much ahead of time, but he can explain some more of that for us as well. So let's see. Ian Spooner, Matt Lukeman are going to both be there. We're going to have a great time, folks. We've got meet and greets going on. We got presentations going on. We got Salty Dog Sea Tours going on. We have Danny Henniger, who is Mr. Oak Island. He was introduced to me originally as Mr. Oak Island. by Carmen Legg. So he
Will Carmen be there?
he's not going to be doing a presentation, but it's pretty likely you'll see him around.
Cool.
And then Danny Hanniger also has over at the train station in Chester. I think it's the Chester Municipal Historical Society. And he has what is called the Oak Island Experience display over there as well. And that will be also included in this as well. You'll get to go over there, and Danny will take you all around. He's very excited about this stuff to be able to show people around there. It's a great exhibit. I've been there. Tom's been there.
I've been on Tony's tour, and I've been over to the train museum with Danny. And without a doubt, it's worth your trip just to go down and listen to these two fellows tell stories. Right?
Well, thank you, Tom.
These guys can tell stories like it's worth the price of admission just to listen to them talk.
Oh,
and it's true. The crazy part about it is it's true.
The stories are true.
The stories are true.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody mentioned that the tickets are unavailable. And let me explain a little bit on this. When you go to Tony's site, and you can go to my website as well, there's a lot of information there, and there's a link there that will take you to Tony's site. But you have to go and you have to pick the date range. That's where you see the tickets will say unavailable. You pick the date range for September 23rd and September 24th. You'll see two different times. Now we're limited because of this first year. We are very limited on how many people we can do this on. So we got 48 tickets. Once those tickets sell out, that's what we're doing for Tony's Sea Tour. He has enough room on there for I guess it would be two time frames, 9 and 11, 4 boats on each one to go out on the sea tours. So what you'll do is you'll go and you'll pick one of those times, but you have to set the date range for September 23rd actually it's September 24th is when the tours are. September 24th. Sorry. You have to set that date for September 24th, and then it opens up.
Yeah, that's true, Jeff. And if we sell out those 48 tickets fast, then we may look at putting 4 more boats on the 23rd. So that would be the maximum people we could get at the Legion as well, would be that 96.
Yeah.
So as Jeff said, guys, these tickets are limited. It's Oak Island Con 1. So it's obviously the first time we've done anything like this. And, to have guys like Dr. Spooner, Laird, Fiona, Emma will probably turn up as well, I'm guessing. But, it's a great experience, a great opportunity. But this first season that we're doing this, it will be limited.
Yeah. Speaking of price, I think they're $150 Canadian.
150 Canadian plus tax, yeah.
Yeah, and that includes everything. And on my site, I also have in the blog there, it'll take you over there. When you click on the main page, you'll see that logo right here for Oak Island Con 2025. You'll see that. You click on that, takes you to the blog. It also will talk about the accommodations in the area, places for you to stay, all the hotels and bed and breakfast places and things like that. That you can go to. There's going to be a meet and greet ongoing, and just a lot of stuff happening. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait. We've been working on this, trying to put this thing together for quite a while, and we just kept running into issues with this and that and the other. But I am so happy that we're finally able to put this together. Oak Island Con 2025, and then next year, expect it to be even bigger. We'll see how it goes this year. But we hope for that next year. Closest airport is Halifax. So you got to fly into Halifax. We did that before. Great airport. Fly into Halifax and rental car or whatever you need from there. Get you down. It's about an hour. Is it about an hour from Halifax down to Western Shore?
Yeah, it depends on the traffic. It's summer season, so it's road work season. So wherever you're going, give yourself an extra half an hour. So from the airport to the Oak Island Resort, you're probably looking at an hour and a half at least.
Yep. Okay. And I forgot, I didn't even mention Lorraine. Lorraine is in the chat. You see her right there. She's the one that approached me a couple of years ago and brought this up to me. And I thought, this is something I don't know. Do you think people would be interested in coming and doing something like this? And and so we started trying to work on it then a little bit, and it's taken that long, to be honest, to put this all together. But thanks for the hard work that this woman has done. I can't even imagine. So without her help, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't be happening. I can grant you that for sure. So,
I agree with you, Jeff. Like Lorraine is another level of organization. Without her, this wouldn't have happened.
yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited about this. We hope that you folks pass it on to everyone. We're going to be putting it out all over the place now in social medias, and I've been keeping it tight-lipped now we knew it was going to happen a couple weeks ago, and now we had to wait for one more piece to come into play before we could announce it, and that just happened. So we're finally it up, and I've been wanting to tell people so bad. But yeah, so I'm going to be emceeing this event, doing my best to pull this all off. And there she is, Lorraine, right there. You're welcome, and I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. I am so also looking forward to meeting folks. I got to do that last year and the year before when we did the I hope so. That would be great. We'd be scrambling if that happens. So yeah, so there you go. Oak Island Con, the first one, 2025, September 23rd and 24th, Western Shore Legion Hall in Western Shore, Nova Scotia. And we hope that you guys will join us there for this. This is going to be a lot of fun. And we're working in conjunction with the island on this too. So don't think that we're, we've been talking with the folks there. That's why they're coming and doing the presentations and everything. So, and next year we hope to make it even better and maybe have, some theorists and stuff there and authors and whatnot. So we'll see how that all works out this year and get these kinks worked out. But that was the big announcement. I hope that's, absolutely wonderful. A few people are saying that's great. So we hope you're excited about it.
Nova Scotia is absolutely beautiful at that time of year.
That's what we heard. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And the Oak Island store, the official Oak Island store, opens again this Friday, and hopefully it won't be too long before the museums open again as well. So that would be an opportunity for people when they're up here for Oak Island Con to go and check out the museum as well.
Yep. Yeah, we won't put it out in the social medias until tomorrow. How about that? Yeah. So you guys are the first to hear about it. Everybody that was here on the show tonight, the first one to hear about this. So yeah, if you got first shot at it, it's going out. I'll be putting it on Instagram and Facebook not Marketplace, but Facebook tomorrow and X and everywhere else. Tony's going to be putting it out places too. So yeah, here's your chance to get in there and get your tickets now before they're all gone. So this is going to be a big deal. I think so too, Greg. I really do. I can't wait. You never know who might pop by. Or I can't say. I don't want to say too much here. Yeah, give stuff away. But yeah, because I tell you what, and Tony is without Lorraine, it wouldn't have happened without Tony coming into this. And us using his and combining this with Salty Dog Sea Tours. I hadn't thought about it before, but this is the actual way to tie this all together and make it a wonderful, wonderful experience for everybody. I absolutely love the tours that I've been on. And even though I've been on a couple, it's been phenomenal every time. It really is. And you have so many good, and I've not heard some of the other skippers that you have too. Like Ken is one of the skippers, right?
Yeah, Ken's one of my skippers as well, Jeff. But Ken's also been one of my dive buddies for 2 decades now. So 20 years ago we started diving when I was diving rebreathers, and Ken was one of the few people up here that knew about rebreathers as well. And so we've been together a long time. And so this year I've got 3 other skippers as well. And so Maggie was actually she was diving with me on Beyond Oak Island. So she was with us when Maddie Blake and myself were diving out there as well.
Yep.
So I've got Maddie and Maggie, sorry, and I've got Janice and Kaylee coming to work for me this year as well. So,
that's great. Yeah, you have 4 boats. I know you were working on another one, so hopefully. I don't know how many you have now. How many boats total do you have now?
Oh, I don't want to say.
Okay, all right. We'll leave that.
Some numbers are best left
Yeah.
unspoken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
my poor wife thinks they're breeding in the backyard. Every time she comes home, there's another one. So
Yep. Well, I tell you what, folks, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out. We have you've got my email is listed on there. You can contact me through the website, through my website, jfree906.com. I'm sure that Tony has some places on there where you can contact Tony and his team at Salty Dog Sea Tours. So if you have any questions, let us know. If you're having any difficulties, we've tested this and it was working. But like I said, you have to put the date in on Tony's site to get it to open up and show available, because it's only for the September 24th time. So you scroll ahead, you get to the September, pick the 24th, and then you'll be able to click on it and book your site right there on that point. So, all right, $150 Canadian. I think it's going to be a steal. I think everybody's going to have a fantastic time. I know I'm looking forward to it. So, all right, Tony, anything else you want to add?
No, just the fact that, like like we were talking about before, mate, it is limited. And so I really think everybody this year will have a great time. And as you said, I don't know who else will show up. And also, if there's filming happening on the island this year, then the reason for us doing these tours in the morning early is that the people that are on the tour before the presentations will actually get to see the team working on the island as well.
Yep. Yeah. And that is really cool. That happened for us when we were on your boat. Well, both years that we went out, and last year they were working a lot.
I can't hear you, Jeff. Can anybody hear Jeff?
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Yeah. So we pulled up to lot 5, and we could see them filming on lot 5, and Rick was there, Gary was there, Steve was there. We could see them all. And we tried not to bother anybody and all that to get out of there. So, but it was really, really cool. So that's the reason why we're doing those in the morning. And then that'll give you time to get over and catch the presentations all afternoon. So, all right. With that, hopefully, like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. And we're going to wrap it up and call this a night. Well, thank you very much, folks. And we'll have more update next week when we cover the season finale. Seth, you going to be here for next week?
Yes.
All right. And Tom, I know.
Where else would I be?
Right? I know, right? All right. And with that, we say goodnight, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like the content of the show, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it very much. And with that, we'll say goodnight.
Good night. Thanks, Jan.